קצת ריקונים, אולי אני חושב מתחיל.
תיק כזה, תיק קטן.
שמתי שם.
הגדול הזה הוא משהו אחר.
לא, קטן לא ראיתי. והצלחת במטבח על ה...
הצלחת כן, אני אוכל עכשיו.
שמתי את המטבח, ראית?
כן.
תיק קטן לא ראיתי.
סטרימינג, מה זה בעצם?
זהו, הוא שודד את זה עכשיו, חוץ לפי המפתח הזה. זה הולך...
אני בן אדם עכשיו שמקשיב ליור בעצם רואה ושומע כל?
כל מי שנכנס אליי...
אתה תבדוק את זה אחר כך מבחוץ לראות שזה באמת מבחינת הווליומים גם, כי הוא אמר פעם שעברה שהרב היה קצת חזק מדי בשבילו.
עכשיו, כל פעם שזה נתקע, מה אתה עושה? פותח את זה.
חד. לייבינגס. זה בדילי עצבני, לא? זה בדילי עצבני של איזה חצי דקה, זה ככה? וואי, לא חצי דקה, אבל זה כמה שניות טובות. אז זה לא משמחן עם התמונה למעשה? אז גם התמונה למעשה תהיה בדילי. ואתה מקליט את זה על המחשב של נחמן גם?
זה שייך סיום?
לא את יובל, דווקא הרב. הוא אומר שהרב כאילו רוצה לשמוע פחות את ה-background. אוקיי, תודה יהודה, גדול. אז למעשה זה עכשיו מסודר אצל נחמן, ה-OBS מה הוא מקליט ברקע? דילי זה בא מהמחשב שלך? אוקיי, הבנתי. פה זה, כן. כן, זה כבר היוטיוב הזה, הכל מגיע בדילי. כן. כן, אז שמע, קצת נעלם שם האמת. כתבתי לו יותר מוקדם היום. יהודה. כן, אז מה אתה מבין מזה? נחמן ויובל מרשימים, חבוב. תזכיר רק שאנחנו מקליטים את זה. מה? זה מה שאני אומר, תסגור. אוקיי, נחמן, אני... אוקיי, הנה. אחת. אוקיי. אז... הופה, עכשיו אתה מדבר, יהודה. כן, לא, אהבתי את הראשון היה טוב. ולמעשה ברגע שהתחיל אני... כן, וברגע שמתחיל השידור אני כבר אשמע את הרב פה, ואז למעשה זה כבר מקליט, זאת אומרת זה עכשיו מכוון כבר להקלטה.
ככה זה אומר ככה זה אומר שהרב צריך לומר שפה זה? לא, זה מה שאני רואה שקודם זה גם הביא, עכשיו זה לא מעבר.
אחת.
לא, פשוט כי אין פורסם.
אחת.
אם אני מדליק את זה, אני יכול לשמוע משהו שלי.
אם אתה מדליק את זה, אני חושב
זה
מה שיובל אומר, אין לו מוניטור.
אוקיי.
אתה לא תשמע.
אוקיי, סבבה.
תודה, יהודה. אני בינתיים במים. נראה לי מה שדיברנו איתו על כסף הוא נעלם, יהודה. מה שעלה הנושא הכסף הוא... You took the money and ran. Take the money and run. כן. Freaking quick Kickstarter, man. איפה הבאת לי את זה? כאילו, וואו. Kickstarter. אז מה קורה כשהרב מתחיל למעשה? אתה מפעיל את המיקרופון שלי?
אתה מפעיל את המיקרופון שלי.
לא, שלי פועל עכשיו, אני לא שמתי... אבל יש לי פה מיוט, אבל אני לא משתמש בו כרגע.
שם רקורדינג ומקליט וכל הזה, מוריד את זה לסרטון MP על המחשב שלי.
זה עושה... מאיזה תוכנה זה עושה? זה דרך OBS או תוכנה אחרת? כיסית את זה? למה כיסית את זה? אוקיי. אתה מצלמה? כיסית? אוקיי. הנה, הרב בא. רק תזכור שצריך להיות פה שקט, כי כל מה שאתה מדבר נכנס להקלטה. עכשיו, אני לא יכול לרצה יותר ווליום של הרב, רק כדי שאני אשמע. אבל זה לא אומר שג'ודה צריך לשמוע יותר. אז הוא יראה לך איך עושים את ההבדל בין מה שהוא מקבל בסוף לבין מה שאני מקבל. יהודה, הוא יודע את ההבדל בין איך אני יכול לקבל יותר את הרב כדי שאני אשמע יותר, אבל שג'ודה לא ישמע יותר. יש פה, עשינו את זה ככה פעם שעברה, לא? או שזה לא... יש שם את ה-differentiation הזה? היה כזה differentiation פעם שעברה, לא? שאני כאילו מקבל את הרב יותר גבוה, אבל ג'ודה לא שומע את זה בשידור. לא, אם לא, אז לא. אבל פעם שעברה זה היה בסדר, האמת שהווליום היה בסדר רק. אני לא שומע? לא הדליק, אוקיי. לא שומע. חשוב שנתחיל מההתחלה, אבל שישמעו את ה... למה לא שומעים? זה...
אתה בדילי, כי אתה עכשיו מקבל סטרים.
לא שומע. Yeah. I just want to remind that next week, on Sunday, a new course starts on dreams. So we're not going to have the test lesson. It will be for 5 weeks. And on the 5th week, we'll continue tests as normal, but because it's before Pesach, it will continue on Sundays later. צריך יותר מערב. קצת יותר. So we're in part A. Part A, Talmud 10 Sfirot, the study of the 10 emanations. We'll go over the questions for review. The first question was, why do you think internal desires can bring you to more completion than external desires? Yes. Who would like to answer? Separated desires can contradict each other, and when we study them and we go deeper, we can actually unite those two desires. That an externality can apparently be separated. That's true. External desires can be contradicting to each other, and when we purify them and we see what exactly is it that I wanted internally, so perhaps we can actually connect these two opposite desires. Because if a person wants, for example, if a person says, I actually had a case like this today where a couple that is about to get married, they're discussing where they're going to live, and each one of them has complaints that he wants to live here and she wants to live there. And they ask me whether they need to get married, despite the fact that each one of them wants to live somewhere else. Because after they get married, each one of them is going to feel like he's a victim. So I told them, you should know that this is a small contradiction. You're going to have much bigger controversies, and they're going to affect the person much more. But even the big controversies, you need to learn how to correct. So when each one wants to live somewhere, he has more internal stimuli that makes him want to do that. And only when he's willing to conduct this conflict in a way by which he goes into the more abstract desires, only that way he can actually conduct these desires. Because these abstract desires can suddenly connect. Like we study, if the woman says, I want to live in Jerusalem, and the person says, I want to live in Beersheba. So you can't. What are they going to do? How could it actually work? What's the answer? So I asked the person who wants to live in Beersheba, why do you want to live in Beersheba? And he says, because in Beersheba I have work, and I cannot let go of my work. And she says, in Jerusalem I feel, for Jerusalem for me is holiness, and I want to live in a holy place. Okay, so we continue. What does it represent to you, holiness? And that's how we speak. And the same way, what is it for you, sustenance, work? What are you going to do with the work, with your salary? Well, what do you mean? I'm going to buy a home. But you don't need the work for, perhaps you can find a work in Jerusalem as well. In this case, his wife told him, I'm willing to work more, and I also have money, so I'm willing to pay for the rent. So that will be instead of the work that you're going to work. So, okay, if I really solve that problem, then I'm willing to do it. It's an example, perhaps trivial, but they said in general, there are certain things that are more complex. And when we come to the more complex things, and we take care of them, so we can overcome them. When does Reuven take over Tzila or Tzila take over Reuven? Let's say Reuven wants to live in Beersheba and Tzila wants to live in Jerusalem. When does Reuven take over or wins? What? I can't hear you. When he concedes? No. When he brings Beersheba to Jerusalem? No, when we come to a solution where both of them win. If he concedes, then he's not winning. We have to come to a common solution. We need to learn the win-win solution. Only that way we can win. Winning does not mean to destroy the other side. That's not the way it is. That's the way the Greek do it. Therefore, each and every desire we have that we want to conduct needs to come to an internal place and to conduct it over there, even within ourselves. We also have many desires. I want external things, and I need to ask myself, what it is that I really want internally? Not that I want this ice cream or this ball or this game or this car or this woman. What do I want internally? And if the things do not coexist, then I have to make the calculation internally. What's more important? Because after all, we're not a body. We are a soul. And that's where our goals are. Great. This is a great answer, Shimon. Thank you. Second question. Why is the desire to receive disqualified from being a vessel of reception? And what is being used instead of it, and why? Who answered this? It's disqualified from being a vessel of reception because it had a desire in order to receive. And after the restriction, the tzimtzum, we're not able to receive that way. Why don't you make it more precise? What happened after the restriction? Well, the desire became. No, it did not become yet a desire in order to bestow. There was a desire to, after the restriction, there was a choice for more adhesion. And when there was then there was a restriction. So it turns out that all the restriction or the choice for more adhesion caused for this desire to be disqualified from being a vessel of reception. Therefore, the first part of the answer, you answered that because it was disqualified due to the fact that there was a choice for more adhesion, and a desire in the upper is a committing rule, obliging rule in the lower one. What was the desire in the upper which was obliging rule in the lower? What was the desire in the upper that became an obligating rule in the lower one? The desire, the choice for more adhesion. The desire for more adhesion, which is called a desire to love. There was a choice. The creature said, I want to love. And therefore it's a rule, it's a law, you have to love. So this is the first part. The second part of the question, what's used instead of it? The reflecting light, the Or Chozer. I think that what the Rav said last time, that when we do not get what we want immediately, rather we put the masach, the screen, it's like we're blocking the desire, our desire, in order to come to the togetherness. Great. Because the reflecting light expresses our ability to resist to our automated desire that we already said in the first part, in the question, that it was disqualified. That means that I want to act, not to bow for something which is disqualified, not to bow for the
מה פסול?
idol. What is disqualified? What's disqualified?
הרצון לקבל ועל לקבל הוא פסול.
The desire to receive in order to receive. That's what's disqualified. And what I want is to love.
דהיינו, לקבל ועל
Meaning,
לקבל, אני חייב קודם כל
To receive in order to bestow. So first of all, I have to reject that desire in order to be free, to build a new desire, which stems from the fact that I rejected this desire in order to reach love. So this way I can look within myself, this place of love within me. And that's what's used instead of it. Why? Because that's exactly the desire that belongs to my ideal, what I chose.
כן?
Yeah?
כן, קרן.
Yes, Karen?
סיימתי את התשובה, את רוצה להגיד עוד משהו?
You finished the answer. Do you want to say anything else?
סבבה.
Great. Sababa.
כן, כן. שלישית?
Would you like to answer the third question?
אלו 4 סוגי כלים ישנם.
What four type of vessels are there? What is the hierarchy between them? Based on the remoteness and proximity from impurity.
אני אעזור לך.
I'll help you.
יש שני סוגי חומרים,
There are two types of
שני
matters,
סוגי צורות.
and there are two types of forms.
שתיים נותנים לנו
And
4
the
אפשרויות.
combination of 2 and 2 gives us 4 options.
רצון לקבל ועל מנת לקבל, רצון
מהו?
Desire to receive in order to receive. What's that? No.
זה קרוב לטומאה,
This is the
קרוב
malchut.
לקדושה.
Is it close to impurity or to? It's close to impurity.
זה חומר
Is it impurity? It's a matter which is.
טומאה.
אוקיי.
It is impurity.
מה עושה את זה לטומאה?
What makes it
לקבל,
impure?
ועל מנת לקבל.
בעל מנת
The,
לקבל.
the in order to receive.
רצון
אוקיי.
לקבל ועל מנת להשפיע.
Desire to receive
זה הבא.
in order to bestow. Is that what comes after it? No, that's not by the order. So let's do it by the order. That's the question. Desire to receive in order to receive.
רצון להשפיע ועל מנת לקבל.
Desire to
רצון להשפיע בעל מנת
bestow in order to
לקבל.
receive. That's true.
זה טומאה וקדושה.
And what is that? Is that impurity
זה
or
עדיין כאילו
purity?
בגדר
It's still
הטומאה, כאילו,
considered
ועל מנת לקבל.
impurity because it's in order to. Well, wait, but that's in order to bestow.
לקבל זה טומאה?
Desire to bestow in order to receive, that's impurity? Well, if you're doing in order to receive. Are you sure? You're right.
אוקיי, הלאה.
Okay.
רצון לקבל,
Desire to
רצון לקבל ועל מנת להשפיע.
to receive in order to bestow. Is that the third one? No? No.
אלא אחד.
Ella, did you prepare it?
נכון?
Ella, right?
רצון לקבל ועל מנת להשפיע.
רצון להשפיע.
Desire to
בעל מנת להשפיע.
bestow in order to bestow.
רצון להשפיע ועל מנת להשפיע.
Desire to bestow in order to bestow.
קדם לקדושה, זה קדושה.
זה כמו שזה
That gets closer to purity. Is that purity? Yeah, it is purity. Yes,
מה
it
עושה את
is.
זה קדושה?
ועל מנת להשפיע.
What makes it purity? Because it's in order to bestow. Meaning only the form is what makes it pure or not pure, not the matter.
החומר יש לנו שני סוגי
The
חומר.
matter, we have two types.
רצון לקבל ורצון
Desire to receive and desire to bestow.
שבעל מנת לקבל
Only the form that is in order to bestow,
זה טומאה וקדושה.
that's what makes it purity or impurity. Even a person bestows a lot and he does a lot of charity and he gives food to all the soldiers. If he does it in order to receive, then it's still impurity. It's better than receiving in order to receive because it's a better environment to work in order to acquire the ability to be bestowing in order to bestow.
לעבור ממקבל בעל מנת לקבל עד למקבל בעל מנת
Transforming from bestowal in order to bestow. אני נקטע כל הזמן, זה לא טוב. יש פה איזה בעיה במגע? לא, תשאיר את השיר, אל תנתן לי, לא, אני באמצע. אבל
לא הבנתי,
אל תיגע בזה
רצון
אולי.
לקבל על מנת להשפיע?
I understand. Is there the desire to receive in order to bestow? Yes. Is that good? That's the best.
הכי טוב שבן אדם גם משתמש עם הרצון לקבל שלו.
The best is if a person uses his desire because otherwise it doesn't exist. If the Creator created you,
אז אתה צריך
if
להשתמש בה.
with certain desires, then you have to use them.
מה שברצון לקבל ועל מנת לקבל.
But if,
על מנת לקבל, עושה את
because in order to receive, that's what makes your use of your desire only for yourself and not for a relationship or love.
הוא לא ברא אותך עם הרצון לקבל ועל מנת לקבל.
He didn't create you with a desire in order to receive. He created you with a desire to receive. Only its form in the beginning was in order to receive. When you chose more adhesion, there's actually a question here. Who is more correct? The Creator, who wants me to receive the light, or myself, who wants to bestow to the Creator? Who is more correct? Who is more right? The Creator? No, the Creator is not more correct in this case. Who is more correct? Who is more correct? What?
היחד צודק יותר.
The togetherness. That's what's correct. Because what does the togetherness say? The Creator, you're right, I'll receive, but I'm also correct. I'm also right because I want to bestow.
ועל מנת להשפיע.
So receive in order to bestow, which is the togetherness between us and the Creator, and it's better than the Creator's opinion or my opinion. What, could it be better than the Creator's opinion? Well, the Creator says, my sons have defeated me. What does it mean, my sons have defeated me? You have to understand, we're not speaking from the Creator, we're speaking of our perception of the Creator. We perceive Him as an entity that wants to give me everything. So my role to give pleasure to the Creator is by combining these two concepts.
שנייה, זה טוב בעל מנת לקבל?
לא, ועל מנת לקבל זה לא.
Is it good in order to receive? No, that's not good. That's impurity. Even if a person bestows, but he only does it because he has fun, it's still in order to receive. It's better than receiving in order to receive, but it's still within the framework of impurity.
זאת אותה תשובה.
It's the same
אם
answer.
זו אותה שאלה, זו אותה תשובה.
If it's the same answer, question is the same answer.
להשפיע זה שייך לקדושה.
נכון.
If I'm in order to bestow, it's part of purity. Yes, what makes it purity is the form. If it's in order to bestow, it's purity. If it's in order to receive, it's impurity.
בבקשה.
Please.
אפשר לקרוא לזה קו אמצעי?
Can we call it the middle line?
לקרוא לזה, לא, אי אפשר לקרוא לזה קו אמצעי.
No, we cannot call it the middle line. We can also call it Yossi, but it's not real.
קו אמצעי נגיע
It's not the middle line. The middle line, it's when we get to part 6 in Talmud Esosfirot, and we'll talk about that. Now we're speaking of one line, and 3 lines are only after Tzimtzum Bet, the second restriction, and we'll learn that in part 6. He also mentions that in part 4, but that's not for here. Please. What's the difference between the two matters, the desire to receive and the desire to bestow? I didn't understand.
הצד הבורא שבנברא,
The desire to bestow is the godly part in the creature, and the desire to receive is the creature part in the creature.
גם כעצם וגם ככל,
Since the creature has both
מהרצון לקבל שיצא יש
the
מאין,
desire
וגם מצד
to receive, which came existence out of absence, and both the desire to bestow, that came from the Creator, existence out of existence.
הוא מורכב.
So the desire to receive is complex. It's comprised of,
בית נקבות ברצון.
we learned that there are 2 females, Bina and Malchut, within the desire.
מהו זה הרצון לקבל?
Bina is the desire to bestow, Malchut is the desire to receive. And there are 2 males, which are 2 types of
פשוט החסדים והתפשטות
expansions. There's the expansion of Chasadim, grace, and the expansion of Chokhmah, wisdom. Okay, so let's continue.
יעל, לא אמרת כלום היום, הכל בסדר? עוד? כן. אנחנו נמצאים באות י"ז,
We are in letter 17, and the title is
האדם ניזון משמרי הקליפות.
The person feeds of the lavings of the klipot, and thus he uses the will to receive as they do.
לא
This is the
למדנו על
title.
המושג של קליפות בכלל.
We didn't study the concept of klipot yet,
יש איתנו
and he uses here this concept
שעוד לא
despite the
למדנו,
fact that we haven't learned it yet.
הקליפות לומדים רק בחלק ז',
We study about the klipot in Chelek Zayin, part 7, and
לא
since
למדנו, אז אנחנו נבין את מה
we haven't learned it, we'll understand what's written here
שחלקית.
in a partial manner. And I'll explain a little bit. There's the concept called klipot, there's the concept called the lavings of the klipot, the remainings,
לומדים רק בבית שער הכוונות.
and the lavings of the klipot, we study that only in Bet Shal Kavanot. That's part 17 of Tes.
הייתה שאני אסביר את כל התהליך.
There's no sense for me to explain the entire process,
כתוצאה משבירת הכלים,
but it happens
את אדם הראשון.
a result of the breakage of the vessels and the sin of Adam HaRishon.
תבין שורש הקלקולים.
Now you can understand the root of the corruption that was incorporated in the thought of creation,
שהיה על מנת לקבל כבר במחשבת הבריאה.
which is to delight his
מה
creatures.
שורש הקלקולים?
So he's asking, what is the root of the corruption?
במחשבת הבריאה.
And which happened immediately, meaning in the thought of creation, which was to benefit his creatures.
אני רוצה לענות לנבראי.
On the one hand, he says, I want to delight the creatures. If I wanted to delight the
כבר פה
creatures,
יש את השורש של הקליפות.
there's already a root here of the klipot.
אשר, שורש, עוד לא קליפה. שורש.
It's a root, not a klipa yet.
אשר, אחר כל ההשתלשלות,
That after all the concatenation of the 5 general olamot,
וההשתלשלות הזאת נקראת קרן.
this
הבריאה.
concatenation is called
קרן הבריאה.
the keren of the bria.
קרן זה מלשון
Keren comes from the word
קור עיר.
koren, something that shines.
אז השתלשלות של קרן הבריאה,
So the concatenation, the cascade of the creation,
הוא מקצור,
זה נקטע,
ומתאבד,
and it becomes more thick,
הוא מתרחק הרצון לקבל משורשו,
and the desire to receive becomes more remote from its root,
ומתאבד,
and becomes more
לאט
thick gradually,
כאשר האדם,
till the point of,
ככה זה נראה,
this is what it looks like. Oh, זה נקטע.
הבאנו את זה פעם, זה הולך בצורה
It goes this way. We showed it once.
זה אין סוף,
נלך עם מה שיש פשוט.
אדם קדמו,
Okay, this is Ensof, Adam Kadmon, Atzilut,
בריאה,
Beriah,
יצירה,
Yetzirah,
עשייה,
Asiyah,
זה תחתית עולם
and this is the
העשייה.
bottom of the world of Asiyah. It's called the point of this world, Olam Hazeh, Nekudah de Olam Hazeh.
קו שמאל,
We descend on the left line and we ascend on the right line. We ascend
עשייה,
back again through Asiyah, Yetzirah, and so on, Beriah, Atzilut, Ak, and Ensof,
עד ש...
until we
ביום
reach
הוא
here.
יעשו אחד ושמו אחד.
And that's when we say he's one and his name is one.
שהמדרגות יורדות
And
מאותו
when
יתברך.
the degrees descend from his holiness, so they gradually descend
מקבל
because the
תרבות
kli
הגדולה,
gets the big
נקודת העולם הזה.
thickness, which is called Oviyut de Olam Hazeh, the point of this world. This is the greatest privacy, the greatest individuality of the Nachash, of the snake. It's not corporeal, obviously. We're speaking of the corporeal world only as a sign.
אדם קדמון,
Adam Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, and Atziyah, Atzirah and Asiyah,
ונתגלו הקליפות.
and they klipot were revealed.
מה זה נתגלו הקליפות?
What does it mean that the klipot were revealed?
כל זמן
So long
שלא התגלו,
that they were not revealed, there were no klipot.
כי בשורש
Why?
הן שלמות.
Because in the root they're complete,
שהתגלו,
and
ואחרי שהתגלו, הם
after
התגלו
they were revealed
בעולמות בריאה יצירה ועשייה.
in the world of Abiyah,
ונתגלו הקליפות,
the klipot
גם כן בדלת עולמות הביאה.
were also revealed in the 4 lamot of Abiyah.
המילה אצילות, ששם אנחנו רואים שיש קליפות,
The world of Tilut, where we say that there is klipot,
שורש של הקליפה, רוחה, רע. עולם אצילות זה כמו שנמצא אצל
the
הקדוש.
world of Atzilut,
וזה,
the world of Atzilut means at his place. This is
שאין קליפות בעולם אצילות.
what it says, that there is no evil there. It is dealt in part
עונה עליה בעל הסולם.
16 in Tess. And Baal Sulam answers there. Well, I don't know how to say it. I'll say the words,
אבל זה לא משנה.
but it doesn't matter. זה כל הזמן נקטע. אני לא יודע אם זה קשור לזה. אתה... זהו. אוקיי, טוב.
אבל בעולמות בריאה יצירה ועשייה יש קליפות. בסוד זה לעומת זה עשה אלוקים.
Okay.
למה הוא עשה את הטומאה כנגד הקדושה?
Why did he do the impurity against the purity? What do you think? What do we need the worlds of impurity against the worlds of purity? What?
שתהיה אפשרות לבחור.
So there'll be an opportunity to choose. Well, choosing is not deciding. It's not for us to choose, because there was a choice in Mordhesion in the Ein Sof, and there were no klipot there. So it's not the klipah that gives this option. You can do it without klipah, as we see in Ein Sof.
זה אולי סוג של מדרגה כזאת.
Perhaps it's some kind of a degree that allows us this transition, because we cannot always be in purity. Okay, that's a nice thought. Irit says, since we want to transition and correct, so we need to transition from purity to impurity, from impurity to purity, not at once. But I don't quite understand the answer, because there needs to be some kind of an hierarchy. But why do I even need the impurity? So she says, first of all, I accept the fact that there's impurity, and then the answer is correct. And then in order to ascend to purity, I cannot do it at once, so I need to do it gradually. Okay, so I'll have an hierarchy in impurity. Perhaps when there's no something that contradicts the other, then it doesn't exist, because as people we only perceive with contradictions, meaning if there's no evil, we can't perceive the good. I don't know, that's what I'm understanding from what you're saying. Did I understand correctly? קשה להתרגם גם, אני לא יודע למה זה... זה בסדר, לא, זה לא קשור לזה. Okay. What is the reference point? Is there an absolute reference point? Each one is a reference point. No, that's not true. What do you mean? I'm trying to understand first what it is that you're saying. You're saying that everything is relative. Even what you're saying now is relative? Of course. In relation to what? To your question. No, it's not in relation to my question. My question is if there are an absolute. If it's relative in order to something which is not relative, something which is absolute. If I go to something that I remember that you said once, that means that there's purity, and that means that there needs to be something which is impure, so people will be able to relate, will be able to differentiate. I'll tell the answer more or less. Okay, my turn now. Since the perception is from the externality to internality, then you need something to trigger the internal point. Since the impurity is within him, so we need something that's going to stimulate this impurity. Otherwise, he's not going to feel this impurity within him, and he will not be able to correct. He won't have anything to correct. So anything that comes from the outside, if there's nothing that will reflect from the outside, I'm not going to feel the internal point within me that I exercise. For example, if I want to exercise my muscles in my biceps or my pectoris, so I'm given so עכשיו אני לא שומע בכלל.
זה יום הקדושה. עכשיו, למה צריך זה כנגד זה?
עכשיו אני לא שומע בכלל.
כאן יש לי קצת תומה בדיוק מתאים זה לזה.
Because everything that I want to practice in impurity, I need to have a part in impurity that pushes me not to do it. And then it trains me
משהו צריך להתנגד אליי. שלא... אז משהו פתאום מתנגד לי.
So something suddenly contradicts me. The friend does something.
למה שאני אתן לחבר כזה?
And why should I give something to this friend?
אבל דווקא...
He doesn't deserve it.
הערבים לוחצים עליך.
Specifically, when your parents push you, that's when you really need to think about.
דווקא כש...
Specifically, when somebody contradicts you, when you fight with your wife, that's when you need to understand. They need to reach peace, shalom. Because they wouldn't push you, you wouldn't see that this lacking point. Even when you do something good and you want to advance, when you want to advance, we always advance forward. When you want to advance, then on the path, you need to go through something that you take it as a challenge, something that you happily take. What is a challenge? Something that pushes you, that challenges you in order to advance. Please. So this is the reason why we need the system of impurity in order to train me. Rav, what exactly is impurity? Impurity is in order to receive. So it's like a parallel reality? Yes?
תנאי שני, לא. מה זה אנחנו מספרים?
No?
הכל באדם אחד.
Everything is within one person.
הכל באדם אחד.
Outside time and space and within one person. That's how we need to study spirituality. So they're both within one person. How can we define this corporeally? What? אין כלום.
פה זה כאילו אוהבים זה.
אוהבים זה כן, זה קדושה וחיות טרף. על שתי רגליים או על ארבע, זה...
בדיוק אותו דבר, לא? זה בדיוק אותם אנשים שהם כאילו רצון לקבל.
אתה רואה את אותם... מצוות, יש להם את אותם פירות, אותו זקן. השאלה היא איך הם פועלים את המצווה. האם בעל מנת לקבל או בעל מנת להשפיע?
לעשות בעל מנת להשפיע?
כן. זה המדרגה הרביעית.
This is the fourth degree to receive in order to bestow. This is the highest degree possible. Let's go on. Think about it. So we're going to continue inside here. So he's saying that that's when this turbid corporeal goof is set before us, about which it is written, man's heart is evil from its youth. It is so because its entire sustenance from its youth comes from the lavings of the klipot. Now it comes from the word that he wants to shake away his commitments, his obligations. He wants freedom. Now in Gematria means Shach, 320. These are 320 sparks. He thinks that everything is the way he thinks it.
He
understands that man's heart is evil from his youth. It's also written that the sin is ready right from the opening. So he knows if that's the way it works. So he needs to try to overcome it. That's because its entire sustenance from its youth comes from the lavings of the klipot. and the essence of klipot and impurity.
לנו, אתה עושה קיבל. זה מופיע הרבה בכתבי בעל הסולם. אך לקבל זה רק לקבל. אחין ורקין, כתוב בגמרא, אחין ורקין מיעוטין. גם אין ועטין, גם ועת, זה בא להוסיף.
Gam and et, these two words also, and the, it comes to add. Ach in Hebrew comes to decrease.
אז ככה אנחנו מגדירים את הטומאה.
So that's how we define the impurity.
משנה מה הצורה.
It doesn't matter what
אתה יכול לעשות מעשה של לקבל.
the action is, the matter is what the form is. You can make an action of bestowal or an action of reception. You can help a friend and give him and bring tea for him, and you can also take tea from him. It doesn't matter. That's not what matters. That's not what makes you holy or impure. What makes you holy or impure? The form. What form is pure? Right, the form in order to bestow. What form makes you holy? In order to bestow. And what form is that of tum'ah, of impurity? Only the form. In order to receive. Meaning, the matter, if I want to bestow or receive, that's not what matters. Therefore, most of our work is a work by form. It's a work on the form, on the intention. It's true that we have certain desires or matters that we don't even have the ability to use the right forms on it. So we go to certain matters that are more subtle that we can use with the right form. For example, if I want to take this marker and make a form of a circle out of it, I can't do it. I'm going to have to break it. I need something like Fimo or Play-Doh in order to be able to. We need a more free and abstract thought in order for us to be able to create the right forms. It's not for us to be promiscuous. It comes from the people who want freedom. They're right, they want the freedom, but it's only a means in order to build afterwards those patterns which are correct and organized according to the purity. This desire that I feel, it comes from a place that I want to act for myself, meaning my entire thought is for me to take it for myself. Yes, this is impurity. This is in order to receive. How I'm going to enjoy it. My individual self, how I will receive benefit from it. But there's a place where I think, for example, that I was given something and not for someone else. Meaning if I think of how I use this thing. The creature was born with a certain quantity of a desire to receive, that with the time this desire to receive goes and accelerates and increases. It goes and increases, yes. It goes and reveals, actually. The desire of everyone exists in an infinite manner, and it goes and increases and goes and intensifies. The more it is external, the smaller it is. Even though it's felt stronger, but it's smaller. The more it is internal, the bigger it is. Therefore, people who want eternal things, when they come to external things, they become extreme.
אז בעצם זה אומר שכל מי שממש מתעסק בחיצוניות הוא בעצם ממש
means that whoever deals with externality actually wants internality? No, it says whoever deals only with externality, it means that he's missing life. Because really, he only received very little things. He's playing with a ball. To deal with more internal things. Even if he wants to receive pleasure, even if he wants in order to receive, it's still better for him to deal with external things because he's going to receive more. Even to be selfish only externally is stupidity because you don't gain anything. If you want to be selfish, say, give me this and give me that. It's like the dog says, hav hav. Hav means give me this from this world and give me from the next world. But only from this world is a very small measure of selfishness. What I said before is that usually people who have internal desires Why? Because a small desire does not satisfy him. A big desire, meaning that he has yearnings, internal yearnings that are not satisfied. So it comes to expression externally. So what does he need to do? He needs to stop the external thing and to understand that this is not what he's looking for, to delve deeper and to see how he can attain the internal point in order to attain the result inwards, internally, and not outwards. So first of all, he has to let go of the external things because he understands that it's not in the external thing, it's internally. All the materialistic people that want to attain, to reach things by bullying with force, they're incorrect because that's not where you receive the pleasures. Rav, can I ask a question about the expression of this strong desire externally? Meaning, for example, there are many friends who run marathons. Can we see that as something which is more external? Or something that's internal but not satisfied? When you tell me that you have friends like that, I'm a little concerned to give you a direct answer because it might be very unprofessional for you to discern them only based on the fact that they run marathon or not. I think we have to see a plethora of desires. If you'd ask me, generally, but not about your friends, then I would say that wanting to run marathon is something that is of a challenge. But it is a desire which is not normal, but I wouldn't only check it by that. Meaning not every sentence which is opposite is correct if the direct sentence is correct. The fact that internal people are great, and when it comes to something external, it manifests as if you want something external which is strong. That doesn't mean the opposite, that everybody who's external and wants something external which is strong. That means that he's an internal person and wants something internal. That was also your question. So where were we? We defined the impurity as a form in order to receive. The desire, but to receive. And it has nothing of the desire to bestow, and therefore they're opposite from his holiness. Because he does not have any desire, God forbid. And his entire desire is only in order to delight the creatures. What is the desire to receive in order to receive? And then we said that its root The root for impurity, we said, was a desire to... I'm sorry, not that.
הווליום מאוד גבוה, אז כן.
כי אתם שם עם מיקרופונים ואני לא שומע.
אוקיי, כן. מה אמרנו בהתחלה
What did we say in the beginning about
ששורש לטומאה
that the root of impurity
רצון להיטיב ונברא?
is... If there is a desire to receive, then the desire to receive is the root of impurity. But it appears only if he wants to bestow. Then obviously there needs to be a desire to receive. So in the thought of creation, there's already the thought of the klipot, because the desire to receive is already embedded there. Oh my God. זה תקוע. Not the root of creation, the thought of creation. So the reason for the impurity is root, not a cause. In the thought of creation, it's not a cause. For example, if I say, if there is, say, matches at home, so this is the root for the fact that the child lit. And therefore the body, the goof, and therefore the klipot are called dead. Why are they called dead? Because they want to receive life, they want to receive sustenance, but their life is called death. Why? Because it disconnects them from the life of lives. So how do they exist? So they have only what's called the Yehuda Gilead, a very subtle, thin candle.
כדי שנוכל להתקדם בקדושה.
מקודם הרב הגדיר את הקליפה.
The Rav defined the klipa before as a desire to receive. I didn't define the klipa as a desire to receive. Perhaps a different Rav. So, if you can repeat that. Yam asked Rav, what was the definition of klipa? No. This is a rather general question, but what is the difference between desire to receive and desire in order to receive? The in order to receive is only the form. It's like you take now Play-Doh, and this Play-Doh is the matter. It's called the desire to receive. And you can take this Play-Doh and create a triangle from it. You can also create a circle from the same Play-Doh. So the matter is the Play-Doh. And the form of triangle or circle is the form. I can say Play-Doh in the form of a circle or Play-Doh in a form of a triangle. The same thing with the desire to receive. It can be with a form in order to receive or with a form of in order to bestow. For example, between friends, you can give your friend a gift and
ועם הרגשה, עם צורה.
You can give him a gift with an internal intention and a form of you wanting to love him as a result of that, or because you just want him not to bother you, just take the gift and go. But that's not my question. My question is not in order to receive or in order to bestow. What is the difference between a regular desire to receive and a desire to receive in order to receive? It's the difference between the matter and the form closed within the matter. Is it clear? The Play-Doh is matter, or the action you make is the matter, and the intention is the form. Did you understand? Give me an example. The same example you gave. No, don't give me the same example I gave. Give me your example of an action and the intention of that action. If you don't have one, then not. I don't have one. Okay. Asaf, did you want to ask something? Do you want to ask something? To bestow in order to receive, is that also a klipa? Yes. Why? Because it's in order to receive. Exactly. Because it's in order to receive. And therefore, the klipot, since they do not have is sustenance, nothing of his sustenance, therefore the goof, the body which is feeding from these lavings of the klipot are also disconnected and full of filth. What is filth? Zo'ama. It means zo, hi, ma. These are three words within the word zo'ama in Hebrew. It means this is what. The one in order to receive, he asks this, meaning the Torah, the work of the Torah, what is it for? And all this is because the desire to receive. But to receive and not to bestow, because his desire is always open for that same evil, for the same impurity. It's always open in order to receive something into its stomach. What is his stomach? That is his desire to receive. He goes on his stomach like the snake. You shall walk on your stomach, meaning when you have the impurity of the nachash, the snake, everything you do is in order to receive, like the nachash, like the snake. And therefore, the wicked in their lives are called dead. Why? Why do the evil in their lives are considered and called dead? Right, because they live with a desire in order to receive. And all the livelihood they receive actually disconnects them from the life of lives. And therefore, each and every desire, I don't check whether I receive pleasure or not. Because if I derive pleasure in an incorrect manner, I hurt myself. Because from the shinui tzuah, the inequivalence of form, in their shoresh, in the root, and who is their root? The thought of creation is their shoresh, the root. They have nothing of the form of bestowal. They sever from him. And they literally become dead. When you act only for yourself, you cannot be connected to the giver of life. But he's the one who gives me this livelihood in the klipa, because he gives you an option, the ability to practice, to train yourself through this klipa. And these are the actual dead. Although it seems that the evil too have the form of bestowal, that they give charity, they open all kind of non-for-profit, and perhaps they might even cry. They may even cry on a cat that is dying. It is said about them in the Zohar that any grace that they do for themselves. Chesed is grace. It's like a benefit. Every benefit, every grace, every good thing they do it for themselves. Any benefit, any goodness, even if it does something good, He has compassion. Perhaps he has compassion because it's comfortable for him, because he cannot do it otherwise, because he only enjoys it. But it's a good thing because it's a way of advancement. It's better than in order to receive. That their entire intention is only for themselves and their own glory. I wrote a note here. I would like to read it for you. We do not judge by the actions. The judgment is not according to the actions, but rather according to the kavanah, to the intention. If so, what is the meaning of the actions? What does it matter if I keep Shabbat or do not keep Shabbat? Only the intention is what matters, seemingly. Is this statement that only the intention is important is correct? The actions, the answer, did you understand what the base of the question is? Oh, again. I'm reading a note that I wrote here. Because if we say that in order to receive, which is the kavanah, the intention, that's the one that's important. So what does it matter whether I go with the kippah or not? If I keep Shabbat or I do not observe Shabbat. Only the intention is what matters. Because if I say that the intention is what matters and dictates whether I'm in impurity or in impurity, then what does it matter what I do? Would you like to answer? Please. The Rav said before that we need something externally that will trigger our internality. So if we'll do actions externally that get us closer to spiritual work, it can help us. Okay, let's see what I wrote. I'll relate to that in a minute. There's a question on the internet. The actions granted awaken and affect the intention. The intention is low and does not exist. There are three actions. A, actions with no intention. B, actions with an opposite intention. And C, actions with a supporting intention. Actions with the opposite intention, like the description of the evil, meaning the intention affects more than the action. Therefore, even if they seemingly do an action, but with the opposite intention, it's like they do the Torah, that they use it like a shovel to work with. But if I only use the Torah and only to come and say how incorrect the Torah is, that's called an action with an opposite intention. An action with no intention, the action affects but only little. So if I do an action with no intention, it's also good. Why? Because there is a small effect, a small bestowal, but it's only for existence. And an action with a supporting intention, that's the best thing because it advances the person. So if a person does an action, so the action causes him to evoke some intention. A good action, not with a bad intention, even with a simple intention. Even if it doesn't direct anything with an intention, it will still be for good. For example, like when we sacrifice the sacrifices in the temple. If a person sacrifices a sacrifice, and he sacrifices a korban chatat for the sins, or korban shlamim or he sacrifices for someone, and he thinks that it's something different, and let's say he wants to sacrifice an idol, a deer, but he actually sacrifices a goat. So if he has the opposite intention, it's not going to be accepted. But if he wants to come with a korban chatat, the sacrifice of chatat, when I'm thinking about my chess game, what kind of move I need to make there when I get back home, it's a mere simple intention or thought. So it's not the actual action that will dictate it. So there are certain places where it's better if the person does not even do any evoke any intentions. It's better for him to think about other things. Why? Because even the action creates within us some sort of a stimulus, with an automated intention which is positive according to the action. And therefore it's better an action with no intention than not to do anything at all. But if the action is with an opposite intention, in order to go against, then it's better not to do the action. So it's like a person comes to give you a gift, and you know that he's giving you the gift because he hates you, because he wants to just get rid of it. So don't give it to me, I don't need it. Why? Because it's going to make him hate you even more, because he brings me the gift, but in his heart he says bad things about me. So I don't want you to give me the gift, because the gift does not come to connect us. And if I receive the gift from him, I'm using him. So it's not good for me to receive the gift from him, because I'll never love him this way, by the action. Therefore, if the intention is opposite, even if the action is good, we need to stop it. So we saw 3 types of actions here. I'm going to give you the option to ask questions. We have 5 more minutes, and I want to finish that. Yes, what's the question? Oren is asking, whether the desire to receive, whether the desire to bestow is imaginary on the part of the creature. No, the answer is not. We learned in letter 50 in Opnimi that the Malchut of Ein Sof is comprised, it's complex. It's comprised also of Bina. Bina is the desire to bestow. And a part of the overall Malchut also has the Bina, the desire to receive. So it's not imaginary. The Rabbah says that if his desire is in order to receive, although the righteous who perform the Torah and mitzvot, not in order to be rewarded, but in order to bestow contentment upon their Maker, they just purify their goof, meaning their desire to receive, which is the place for the expression of the soul. It's not spoken of a corporeal goof. And they invert their vessels of reception, meaning the desire to receive in order to receive. They invert it to the form of bestowal. As our holy Rav said, I did not enjoy even in my little finger before he died. He said it's revealed and known in front of my Maker that I did not even enjoy in one little finger for myself. Perhaps he did not even enjoy it all. What? He did not enjoy in Shabbat? It says that you have to have onik Shabbat, the pleasure of Shabbat, but he did not enjoy it for himself. That's what it means. And that's how we are completely adherent with him, for their tzura is identical to their Maker, without any shinui tzura, without no inequivalence of form. This is on the verse, "Thou art my people." Oh, say unto Zion, "Thou art my people." Don't read "my people," but rather "with me," in partnership. The word "ami" and "imi" in Hebrew are the same letters. This means that the righteous are partners with the Creator, since He started the creation, and started does not mean time, because there's no time and changes, meaning He always starts. He always starts the creation. Therefore, how long is the creation? How long does the creation exist? Always. And if He did not start, He will end at that very same moment. It's not beginning in time. Once He started, and now He maintains it. Meaning, He always starts. He always renews in His goodness. In every day, always He renews the action of Bereshit, as it says. So there's always that Bereshit, always the Genesis, this beginning. He starts and the righteous complete. So the end will be where both sides love, because they invert the vessels of reception to vessels of bestowal. This is the role, this is the task of the righteous.
אוקיי, כן, שאלות.
Okay, questions, please.
מה עדיף?
What's better
בן אדם
for a person
רק יכוון לדבר
to
מסוים,
only
נגיד,
direct for a
אני
certain
דיבר
thing and
אליי,
says, I'm religious in my heart,
או שהוא יעשה את המעשים
or
בלי לכוון
he
בכלל?
should do the actions without directing and putting the intention? It's better to actually do the action without directing at all, without the intention, because
שזה הדרך לקרב את
this is the path by which to getting closer, because it's like bestowing in order to receive.
והמשפיע בן אדם תקבל, זה יביא
And the
אותו
bestow in
למשפיע
order to
בן
receive will bring him to bestowing
אבל לא כדאי
in
לו
order to
להיות משפיע,
bestow.
כלומר, אבל אני
But not
אעשה
to
מעשים,
bestow
אבל
and
גם
make
בן אדם.
actions, but stay within the intention for himself, because that will be like the potion of death,
אבל מי עושה-
summum
עושה
of
שלא
it.
לשמה.
Because
אפילו שזה בן אדם
whoever
תקבל,
does
לא
something
לשמה.
lolishma, not for her name,
מה הוא שמך?
but in order to bestow. Yes.
אבל מה זה לעשות לא לשמה?
So what does it mean to do lolishma, not for her name? It's also a state where you don't really mean it. You don't have the intention. It's not that you don't have the intention. You have a hierarchy of desires. You have
אתה יודע, החלטה,
different levels of desires. And you have a desire that you want to act in order to bestow, but you're not reaching the sensation yet. But you have
שלזה אתה רוצה לעשות.
a decision that that's what you want to
גם
do.
אתה אומר לחברתך, ואתה אומר, אני עושה
And you
את
bring
זה,
a gift to your friend and you say, I'm doing it in order to love her. But I don't really feel that I love her. But I do it in order to reach the sensation. And it kind of bothers me in my heart that I spent another 100 shekels in order to buy her a gift, but I don't want it to bother me in my heart.
שאני עושה,
That means that I'm doing it in order to reach the lishma, even though I feel that it hurts me. Yeah? So if I'm not sure about that, but I do want to do it good, so do it, it's great.
אפילו
But
עם 2 גרם,
even if you do only 2 grams
גם
of
דבר גדול.
goodness in it, it's great. Please.
אני לוקח את זה קצת למקום...
I'd like to take it to a little different place.
זה נכון...
Is it true that ניתק, אני לא שומע.
עבר להשפיע, אנשים שחוו חוויות...
שאלה אם הם מוכנים ורוצים את זה.
It depends if they sensed it and they
אחרת
want it.
החדירה לפרטיות שלהם,
Otherwise, it's a penetration into their privacy without them asking for it.
יכול להיות שאתה לא מכבד
And
את
perhaps
האופן הזה,
you do not respect them in that way, because every person also has his private place that he wants to keep, and it's important for him to keep it. אני אתק עוד פעם.
לפרטיות זה.
מצד לא... אחד שפועל, זה נכון בשבילו.
Is it correct for him to open, so perhaps it will help him and affect him? It depends towards whom. Well,
שיתחיל קודם כל להיפתח בדברים של שמחה, ואחר כך בדברים של קורבנות.
there are people
קורבנות
who are like victims,
מספרים כמה רע להם וכמה לא טוב להם.
permanent victims, who always say how they suffer and they create some kind of a
עדיף שזה יהיה לאדם אחד
pattern.
אולי,
It's better to do it for one person,
להיות פתוח באופן הזה,
but to be open in such a way
תמיד עושה טוב,
it doesn't always do good,
בערבון מוגבל, צריך כל מקרה במקרה.
because each and every case we have to see it as it is.
בבקשה.
I understood up to now that as long as we're in this world, there's no state where we can do something without having something small that we will receive. Because every giving, every action of giving that we'll have, as long as we're here, we don't have the ability. So therefore, I'm amazed how how he could.
בעצם שואלת,
So you're actually asking
שכתוב אין צדיק
that it's written
שעשה
there's
טוב,
no righteous in the land that did good and did not sin. So the fact that he's in the land, Ba'aretz, it's already a sin that is embedded within him. So what he said, that the meaning of it is that I, on my part, did not do anything.
זה האדם הראשון, זה לא ממני. אני לא
It
הוספתי
did not come from me.
בחטאים.
I did not add
אם באתי
anything to
למשל
my sins.
לגמגם,
If, for example, I came that I stutter, I came stuttering, so I came stuttering, but I did not add another
אם
sin.
אני נהניתי באצבע שלי הקטנה,
If I
זה שהייתה לי הקטנה לא בסדר,
enjoyed with my little finger, like he says, if I enjoyed because I came with some kind of a baggage, but I didn't add of myself.
עוד חטאים,
Those who add more sins of their own,
לא יודע אם כולם, אבל
I don't know if everyone, but let's say most of them,
שאלות חזרה.
questions for review.
כיצד ניתן להבין
How can we understand
ש-
that the root of the vessel
במחשבת
is already included within the thought of creation?
שאלה שנייה,
Second question,
מדוע יצאו
why
אביה
Abia, the four worlds, exited?
וקדושה?
Why did Abia of impurity exited against Abia of purity? Abia Atilut Bariah Tzilai Nasiya.
כיצד מוגדרת התורה?
How is impurity defined?
שאלה רביעית, מדוע
Fourth question, why
הרשעים בחייהם
the evil
נקראים מתים?
or the wicked in their lives are called dead?
שאלה רביעית, חמישית,
Fifth question,
שאלה חמישית. האם ראוי לעשות מעשה
is it worthy to do an act
ללא כוונה?
without an intention?
ככה. כתוב איזה שלושה
Write what three
מעשים ישנם,
forms
כיצד נכון להתייחס.
there are and how is it correct to relate to each one of them?
שאלה שישית,
Sixth question,
בגלל שיום ראשון הבא לא לומדים, זה עד יום ראשון.
because next Sunday we're not going to study, so this is until Wednesday.
כיצד
Okay.